There's a silent killer of dreams in this world. It wears no face, casts no shadow, and speaks in whispers that only you can hear. It says, "What if you fail?" And most people stop right there. They surrender their ambition to a question. But not you, because if you're hearing this now, if something inside you refuses to settle, then I know one thing. There is greatness within you that is tired of hiding. Let me tell you something that they don't teach in school, that most people don't have the courage to accept. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the forge that sharpens it. Every man and woman who ever accomplished anything of substance walked through the fire of failure. Edison failed 10,000 times before a light bulb ever lit. Lincoln lost more elections than he won before becoming one of the most revered leaders in history. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Henry Ford went bankrupt 5 times. Do you think any of them enjoyed the taste of failure? Number. But they understood something powerful. Failure is feedback. Failure is direction. Failure is the crucible where character is born. It's easy to talk about success. It's easy to celebrate when things go right, but the soul of a warrior is carved in the moments where everything falls apart. When the world doubts you, when your plans crumble, when your confidence wavers, and yet you rise anyway. That is the difference between those who live a life of quiet desperation and those who carve their names into the fabric of history. If you fear failure, then you fear growth, because nothing truly worth having comes without risk, without resistance, without the possibility of falling flat on your face. But here's the secret. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. Every setback is a step forward if you dare to keep walking. Every mistake is a message, but only if you have the courage to listen. You were not born to tiptoe through life hoping to arrive safely at death. You were born to stretch, to struggle, to stumble, and to rise. Failure is not a signal to retreat. It is a signal to refine. It is the universe asking you, how bad do you want it? You will never meet a fulfilled soul who hasn't been broken. You will never meet a master who wasn't once a beginner drowning in doubt. You will never meet a legend who didn't first walk through hell. Why? Because failure is the ultimate teacher. And if you resist it, you resist your own evolution. So stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I never try? What if you let the fear of falling steal your wings before you ever took flight? What if your greatest gift, your deepest calling, your highest potential was buried under the rubble of your excuses? The truth is this: fear is the jailer, but failure is the key. Because each time you fail and choose to rise, you send a message to life itself: I am not done. And that, more than anything, is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even intelligence. It is the refusal to quit in the face of failure. It is the unshakable belief that even in defeat, I am being shaped like steel beneath the hammer. So let's talk about mindset. Because before any success can manifest in the physical world, it must first be earned in the mind. Most people shrink in the presence of failure. They see it as a verdict. They say, I failed, therefore I am a failure. But champions think differently. They say, I failed, therefore I am learning. They know that failure is not identity. It's a process of refinement, a process of redirection, a process of resurrection. Because the truth is, if you're not failing, you're not stretching, you're not growing, you're not pushing the edge of your own potential. And why would you want to live a life that fits in a box anyway? You were not born for safety. You were born to explore the edge, to chase the horizon of what's possible, to become a force so resilient, so focused, so determined that failure becomes fuel. This is where belief comes in. Belief is not some vague hope that things will go your way. Belief is a decision, a discipline, a defiance of the odds. When Edison was told he had failed 10,000 times, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is not blind optimism. That is mental mastery. You must believe in your power more than the world believes in your limits. You must trust in your vision even when there's no evidence yet. Because belief is what builds the bridge between failure and triumph. And when belief meets action, mountains move. But don't expect the world to cheer for you at first. Don't expect applause before proof. You'll be mocked, misunderstood, ignored. That's fine. Let them sleep. Because while they sleep, you build. While they doubt, you study. While they laugh, you persist. This world was not changed by those who played it safe. It was changed by those who risked humiliation for innovation. It was changed by those who were willing to fail in public, again and again and again, until the world could no longer ignore their results. You must become dangerous in your conviction, unshakable in your purpose, unstoppable in your effort, because you are not here to live on the sidelines of your own life. You are here to create, to build, to transform. And that means facing failure not as an enemy, but as a rite of passage. So the next time fear creeps in, when doubt starts to whisper, when failure shows up at your door, welcome it. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. Necessary to build strength. Necessary to sharpen clarity. Necessary to ignite the fire in your gut that says, no matter how many times I fall, I will rise. Let's speak now of clarity, because when your mind is fogged with doubt, fear multiplies. When you don't know who you are or what you stand for, every failure feels like confirmation that you don't belong. That's the lie. Clarity isn't given, it's forged. Forged in the silence of self-reflection. Forged in the fire of trying, failing, and refining. You discover who you are not by reading it in a book, but by living it, by walking through the unknown and listening to the voice inside that says, this is what I was made for. You want to know why most people never rise? Because they never define what they're rising toward. They move through life like ships without sails, drifting, reacting, surviving, but not you. You don't want to survive. You want to build. You want to create a life that screams purpose from the inside out. And that starts with vision. A vision so real you can taste it, so powerful it keeps you awake at night. A vision that burns brighter than the fear of failure. Martin Luther King Jr. had a vision, not a plan, not a guarantee, a vision. And that vision carried him through hatred, violence, rejection, because clarity always cuts deeper than fear. If you want to endure failure, you must see beyond it. You must hold the picture in your mind of the life you were born to create, so clearly, so vividly, that even when the world crumbles, you stay standing. And once vision takes root, purpose begins to grow, because it's not just about what you want, 'tis about why you want it. Purpose is what gives failure meaning. Without it, setbacks feel like punishment. With it, they feel like preparation. When you are driven by purpose, you stop asking, how hard will this be? And you start asking, how far can I go? Purpose doesn't shield you from pain. It transforms pain into progress. Think of Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps. Everything stripped away, freedom, family, dignity. And yet he found purpose in the suffering. He realized man can endure almost anyhow if he has a strong enough why. So if you're afraid to fail, ask yourself, do I even know what I'm willing to fail for? If the answer is vague, you won't last. But if the answer is clear, you become unstoppable. Purpose anchors you when the storm hits. It reminds you why you started when quitting feels easier. It keeps your spine straight and your fists clenched when the voices of doubt scream louder than your own. Now let's bring this into the realm of discipline. Because all the vision in the world is useless without action, and not just any action, disciplined, consistent, relentless action. Discipline is doing what must be done. Long after the mood to do it has disappeared. It's not glamorous, it's not fun, it's waking up early when no one's watching, it's practicing your craft when there's no audience to applaud, it's sacrificing comfort for legacy. And guess what? You will fail along the way. But discipline doesn't care about perfection. Discipline says, show up anyway. Michael Jordan missed more shots than most players will ever take, but he kept shooting. Why? Because discipline breeds resilience. Resilience breeds greatness. Most people fail once and quit. The disciplined fail 1,000 times and keep moving. Discipline builds momentum. Momentum builds identity. And identity, that's your compass. That's when failure stops being something you fear and starts becoming something you use. But here's what no one tells you about action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Too many people wait. They wait until they know enough, until they feel ready, until the fear goes away. Let me make this clear. The fear will not go away. You must walk forward with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of movement through fear. Action is the antidote. Not thought, not talking, action. When you move, you gain feedback. When you move, you gather data. When you move, you start to shape reality. Nothing changes until you change. Nothing begins until you begin. And when you do, when you show up for your dreams, even after falling flat, you step into a rare kind of power. You begin to feel it, that quiet knowing that says, no matter how many times I fall, I will rise. No matter how far I slip, I will climb. No matter how loud the world laughs, I will build. You stop asking for permission. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop pretending to be small just to make others comfortable. Because failure is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the gatekeeper of every breakthrough you will ever experience. And behind that gate, a version of you that is bigger, bolder, sharper, more precise. A version of you who speaks with conviction, who leads with purpose, who walks with certainty even when the path is unclear. Because they've failed and kept going, because they've bled and kept building, because they've doubted and kept deciding. The most powerful version of you is not hidden behind success. It is buried beneath your failures, waiting to be uncovered one bold step at a time. You see, failure is not a curse. It is a mirror. It reflects back to you what needs to evolve. It reveals where the cracks are. And most importantly, it reminds you that you are alive, that you are still in the arena, still swinging, still refusing to sit with the spectators who've never risked anything at all. Because let's face it, the ones who mock failure are almost always the ones who've never dared to face it. They'll call you reckless for betting on yourself. They'll call you foolish for dreaming too big. They'll say you're unrealistic, delusional, stubborn. And to all of that, I say, good. Let them doubt. Let them question. Let them stay in their neat little boxes while you tear through walls that were never meant to contain you. Because if you're going to be afraid of something, don't fear failure. Fear the regret of never having tried. Fear waking up one day and realizing you were more committed to your excuses than to your potential. Fear living a life so safe. It was never really lived at all. Greatness is not convenient. It doesn't arrive neatly packaged. It comes wrapped in frustration, confusion, rejection, all the ingredients of failure. But inside all of that, there is treasure. There is you, unrefined and unfinished, waiting to be forged by the heat of experience. That's where adaptability comes in. Because when you fail, and you will, you must not just rise, you must adjust. You must observe, analyze, pivot. You must ask, what did this teach me? Where was I blind? How can I evolve? Too many people think persistence means doing the same thing over and over. That's not persistence. That's insanity. True persistence is rooted in adaptability. It is the ability to change form without changing your goal. To remain firm in your why, but flexible in your how. Look at Darwin. He didn't say the strongest survive. He said the most adaptable do. So when the plan fails, change the plan. When the strategy breaks, rebuild it. When the door slams, find a window. When the path disappears, make your own. Adaptability turns failure into momentum. It turns confusion into curiosity. It turns dead ends into new beginnings. But only if you're willing to release your ego. Only if you can admit, I don't know everything yet, but I'm willing to learn. And that right there is where resilience is born. Because it's not the first fall that breaks most people. It's the story they tell themselves about it. They fall once and decide, I'm not good enough. They hear one no and take it as a final answer. They feel pain and decide to avoid it forever. But you are different. You fall and decide, I'm still in the game. You hear no and think, not yet. You feel pain and say, "This is where I become stronger." Resilience is not a trait you're born with. It's a muscle you build. And like all muscles, it grows through pressure. So when life presses down on you, press back harder. When the weight gets heavier, you get stronger. When the world doubts you, double down on yourself. There is power in your scars. They are not signs of defeat. They are proof that you refuse to break. Resilience is rising when you've got every reason not to. It's trusting the process when all you see is chaos. It's holding the line when everyone else folds. That's how revolutions are built. That's how dynasties are forged. Not in perfect plans, but in relentless minds. And if you truly want to master the game of life, you must become a student of failure. Yes, a student. Study it, track it, reflect on it, get curious about it. Don't run from it, investigate it, because failure always carries information, and those who learn from it rise faster than those who fear it. Every failure has layers, a layer of pain, a layer of truth, and beneath it all, a seed of new strategy, new strength, new awareness. But seeds only grow if they're nurtured. You must water your failures with humility, feed them with action, and let time do its work. If you do that, if you commit to learning instead of retreating, you'll look back one day and realize your failures didn't stop you. They sculpted you. They carved away the laziness. They chipped off the excuses. They stripped away the illusion of comfort and revealed the raw, unshakable core of who you really are. And now you are ready for gratitude. Yes, gratitude. Because the final step of mastering failure is learning to give thanks for it. Not in hindsight, not when it's easy, but right in the thick of it, right in the pain, right in the mess. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that everything has purpose, even the heartbreak, even the humiliation, even the moments that almost broke you. Because they didn't. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still building. You're still dreaming. And that means one thing. The fire didn't consume you. It refined you. You didn't fail. You forged, like steel tempered in fire, like diamonds formed under pressure, like legends born from struggle. You didn't crumble, you transformed. You didn't break, you reconstructed yourself from the ashes. And now you understand. Failure is not the villain. It is the forge. It is the mentor that doesn't sugarcoat. It is the honest mirror that shows you where your will wavers. It is the grindstone that sharpens your edge. Every person you admire, every titan of industry, every name etched in history, they were not forged in comfort. They were carved in chaos. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, lost multiple elections, was told time and again he didn't have what it takes, but the man kept rising. He kept showing up, and in the end, he didn't just lead a nation, he redefined one. Walt Disney? Fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination, rejected by banks over 300 times. Do you think he smiled through that? Number. But he persisted, because the dream was louder than the doubt. Thomas Edison, thousands of failed experiments, each one mocked, each one labeled a waste. But he didn't call them failures. He called them lessons. And one day, the world lit up. What about you? What about the empire inside of you? What about the story that hasn't been told yet because you've been too afraid to turn the page? Don't you see? Everything you want is on the other side of that fear. The version of you you ache to become. They are standing behind a wall built from your own hesitation, and it's time to break it. It's time to stop negotiating with your comfort zone, to stop bargaining with fear, to stop treating your dreams like a maybe. You were not born to tiptoe. You were not created to crawl through life, hoping to arrive safely at death. You were built to soar, to fight, to climb, to fall and rise and fall again, each time stronger than the last. There is a roar inside you that's been silenced for too long, a fire that's been smothered by excuses, choked by fear, drenched in doubt. But not anymore. You're going to fail. Yes, you will fail, again and again. And when you do, you will smile. because you'll know now what it means. You'll know that failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. You'll welcome it like an old friend because every time it knocks, it's bringing you wisdom. It's dragging away the dead weight of pride. It's shaping you into the person worthy of the dream you hold. So rise, stand tall in your truth. Stand tall in your purpose. Stand tall in your relentless refusal to stay down. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them whisper behind closed doors. Because while they talk, you build. While they fear, you move. While they quit, you conquer. And when the world looks back and wonders how you did it, how you rose from nothing, how you kept going when everything screamed for you to stop, you'll look them dead in the eye and say, I wasn't afraid to fail. That's it. No magic formula, no secret shortcut, just a refusal to let failure define me because I defined it. I took every rejection and turned it into fuel. I turned every scar into a chapter of my legend. I made pain my professor, doubt my drill sergeant, and fear my stepping stone. You want greatness? You want legacy? You want to live a life that shakes the heavens? Then stop playing small. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop holding your breath. Jump. Jump and know the net will be built on the way down. Jump and know the wings will form midair. Jump and know that even if you fall, you will rise. Because now you know the truth. Failure is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. And you are not just a dreamer. You are a warrior of destiny, a builder of empires, a force of nature. And the world, it has no idea what's coming, because from this moment forward, you are no longer afraid to fail. You are ready to dominate through it. You are ready to create through it. You are ready to rise again and again and again, until one day you stand at the summit of your life, look back at the scars, the battles, the failures that nearly broke you, and smile, because you didn't run from the fire. You walked through it and came out a legend.